I want to ask you, too, if you think that a 2-2 draw was a fair result in this one.
In the end, yes, it is a fair result. Arsenal just didn't have the legs at the end of the game. You could see everyone putting in a shift. They were cramping. They deserved the 3 points with the amount of work they put in. The second half, they only had 12.5% possession.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen that in my life.
They were down to
the whole second half. And I get it's Manchester City, but that tells you how they just said, this half, we are not scoring and we are not conceding. It's going to end 2-1. We are not leaving our half. And from that standpoint, the commitment that it takes to play against the Manchester City with the players that they have to keep it that way for the most part until the last few seconds of that second half is inspirational. I think, yes, you're gutted. In a lot of ways, you play against a team and you put in a performance like this and you concede, you give up 2 points, you feel like it's a loss.
Yeah.
But in this, you still say, you know what, guys? We didn't lose the title. If anything, it feels like the spirit of this team was on full display. You feel like, man, we put in a shift, we're proud. And I think that's the overall sentiment after this game is we had our backs up against the wall and we didn't fold.
Yeah, I think if you go back to the match at the Etihad last season, you know, Arsenal, and, you know, Nico was also very vocal about how Arsenal didn't play to win. I think in the beginning of this match, they certainly did. The first 15, 20 minutes, you saw how expansive
Arsenal were. Well, they
Arsenal
had to because Haaland scored early.
Even before that, I think Arsenal were really pushing, and I think that's probably why Haaland scores, is because Arsenal's giving up space where last season they compacted. In the second half, you saw them do the same thing, go into a 6-3-0 formation. I mean, they weren't letting anything through. They said, we're not going to give you the center of the park. Feel free to take the wings. Eventually, it bites them in the behind. But I think you walk away with a 2-2 draw proud. No prouder than seemingly City, where if you go back last year, and the last match against City at Etihad, Rodri had a lot to say at the end of the match about celebrating a draw, which we saw City do this year. I think because sometimes you take a real victory from a draw, where City feels like maybe they snuck away with a point where they were supposed to, or at least the feeling was they were going to drop all 3 points. And then if you're Arsenal, certainly you felt like you were so close to getting away with 3 points from a match where you didn't have your best midfielder. Your left back was starting at right back. You know, you get a red card again for something that only Arsenal players seem to get a second yellow for, which is delaying of the game. So if you walk away from that, if you tell me that at the beginning of the game as an Arsenal fan, hey, you're not going to have your best player, your fullbacks are going to be swapped, or you're going to have your left back and your right back, you're going to get a red card at the end of the first half. Do you think you walk away with a draw at the Etihad? Absolutely.
Oh, how about this goal?
Calafiori with a golazo.
His first goal for Arsenal. That was an absolute golazo.
Making amends, too, because he's the one that loses Savinho on the first Manchester City goal. In one turn, he gets caught out of position, and Haaland is played through, and everything just is stretched out a little bit. And this is fantastic. By the way, Arsenal, 8 minutes before this, did the same exact set.
Yeah, but if you notice, they switched Kyle Walker onto Gabriel Magalhaes.
Yeah, because it was Doku
couldn't handle him. And look at that. He tried every little thing. He was tapping him. He was tapping him. He was doing everything.
But I felt you would have
How many set-piece goals do they have
Arsenal this season? Not sure, but I know this one was a massive.
Arsenal has the most set-piece goals amongst Premier League teams since the start of last season. So obviously,
City have also given up the most this season.
This investment into Arsenal set-piece play has clearly worked. I thought City would have adjusted on after that second set-piece play because it was this close to going in.
And should have went in. And Gabriel should have put that on.
Gabriel should have put that in goal, absolutely. But for, I don't know, big picture, like I'm trying to see like what the feeling is after this. Like the race is still on. Because had Arsenal lost all 3 points, it would have felt like City's, again, just out to another lead.
Yeah, and it would have meant Arsenal going top of the league, which I think would have been massively significant.
Going top of the league.
But I agree with you. I think this is, all right, shake hands, well done. We'll see you at my house.
Yeah,
you know,
the rivalry's on.
Yeah.
It's a full-blown rivalry.
This is the new United Liverpool.
Yeah.
This rivalry.
And two, I'd say, from a character standpoint, this is the proof in the pudding when you have a manager who's
I wouldn't
put
say
together
United,
a team.
Liverpool. Arsenal have not won the league in a while.
think if you go back to those days, it was.
I think
to
the
compete
last
for the league.
the last 2 years, we can say that this is developing. I don't think it's there yet. I think they have to win a title soon for this to be considered
They've been
a rivalry of
classic
Liverpool
English
United.
rivalry.
That's
It's also that chippy, is what I meant.
that's huge.
Liverpool, Manchester United?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
Liverpool.
no, we're talking about rivalries in general, yeah, but we're talking about just competing for the league trophy.
Sure.
Because Liverpool
Arsenal's
haven't
need
been
to win.
the top
They
two.
need to win one of those battles
So
with City.
in terms of Manchester City being the only obstacle for Arsenal right now for the past 2 seasons, this is the 3rd season, and you feel like because of that bad blood, the back and forth, that now this is
It's developing. Absolutely.
This is a real rivalry. You could see it from the players, from the fans, from Arteta, and the way that him and Guardiola kind of act. I mean, they're friends, but they're also like, hey, we want this.
This
Look at
scene
this.
right here is
Look at this.
significant. They had mics on these guys, so they heard. You could see it where Erling Haaland says to Mikel Arteta, "Hey, stay humble, huh? Stay humble." Which, when was the last time you saw a striker talk to another manager that way? That's building this rivalry. That bad blood will be answered in the next match, which will be at Emirates.
This is what you want.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is what you want. This is what you want in your 2 best teams that have been challenging over the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
That have Arsenal's come so excruciatingly close to taking the heat. They know that this is what it's gonna take, and even even then they couldn't get it. You know, that's why it felt so bad for Arsenal fans, because it felt like everything you needed to do, a little bit of time wasting, get on the floor, defend with
Everything. Every ounce.
and more, and it still wasn't enough. It's just such a shame because
I would agree with you if Arsenal was
Okay.
down to 10 men.
right,
Yeah.
right, but even that, I understand it's not. I wouldn't say 2 points lost, right? Because it felt like almost inevitable that City was going to get
It's an
there.
away match against the champion.
I get it. And if I'm an Arsenal fan like you guys, I'd walk away being, all right, look, everything is still up for grabs here. But like you said, there's a lot of credit and value in defending the way they did with a man
yeah.
down, that it almost felt like they deserved to walk away with the 3 points. Seemingly the same, I would say the same. City deserved to get the equalizer because they were there. They were working that ball, the movement of that ball. You could have made an argument both ways, and in the end, the most fair result is the draw. But football isn't fair. Football is never fair. And Arsenal did those classic performances where you play ugly and you walk away with it, and it's like, we went to your house, we got a man down, and we snuck it out.
Yeah, I think the opposite.
You know,
the other side of that coin is we went to your house, we were down a man, and you still couldn't beat us.
I want to talk about the incident that led to them being down a man, the second yellow to Trossard, because I have a feeling you guys maybe think that this was not warranted.
Look, by the letter of the law, yada, yada, yada.
Yada,
Yes,
yada, yada,
that's
yada,
a
yada.
second yellow, sure. But how is Arsenal the only team in this league that has had this fate now twice? When you look at it, yes, maybe this is naive, but this is another case. We said this with the Declan Rice. The ball was moving, and the same thing had happened before on the other side, and that player wasn't.
Blew, though.
And the player wasn't noted. In this case, the same thing. Doku
The
did the
whistle
same
blew
beforehand.
But Doku.
Yes, but in the height of this moment, you really think he
There's
can
no-
hear the whistle? There's plausibility.
No,
that he can hear it.
there's no one to blame here except Trossard.
Yes,
That's it.
I agree.
There's no one to blame. You're on a yellow. You can't put that decision on the referee. You are kicking the ball away no matter what. That's a yellow card offense if you're
Yeah.
kicking the ball away after the whistle. He knew it was a foul, and he kicked the ball away. And I get that's been part of the game forever, and you could get away with it.
And
But
especially
now,
after it had just
after
happened
Declan Rice.
2 games ago against Brighton, where you were warned. And I get Doku probably should have been booked. You can make arguments that he was trying to pass the ball back to where he thought the foul was going to be. Like, whatever, sure. Doku, but why put that in the referee's hands? If you're Trossard? In fact, the foul was a little bit much too.
Yeah.
In real time, it's strange because in real time you see it from far from the broadcast angle and it doesn't look that bad. But then when you see the replay,
on the pitch, it's a foul.
Trossard went and.
But did you see Erling Haaland in the first half against Saliba? Absolute clocked him. Wasn't even looking at the ball. It was an NFL tackle.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that wasn't a yellow.
But Haaland wasn't on a yellow. If you're Trossard,
decision making is what you're talking
the game
about.
out, those are the little details that eventually can give you a title or take a title away.
Yeah.
So if you're on a yellow, knowing that the half is right there,
it was naive. It was dumb.
Why do it?
I agree with you.
Yeah. On City's side of this, quickly, it's worth mentioning Erling Haaland scored his 100th goal for
and
Manchester
105
City.
starts.
104 or 5?
105 starts.
Does it matter? Bro, there's a lot.
Insane.
A lot and a little.
Insane. Congratulations to your fantasy team once again.
Just got one goal.
Just
I
one.
would have wanted a little bit more.
Just one. Just one. But
that's a you guys problem.
I'm getting word. So on Mondays, we always catch up with our good friend Jeff Shreves, who was actually at this match, and he is listening to our conversation right now.
And
he wants to weigh in. He's got some things to say on this.
Go.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. I find myself in the very, very strange position of agreeing with Nico. This is not something I'm used to. He's absolutely. What was Anthony Trossard doing? I mean, it is such a daft thing to do, ridiculous thing to do. Boot the ball away, regardless of Doku, whether he meant to put it back to the Arsenal players or not. Honestly, it was such a fantastic occasion. And the thing I liked about it the most, and I know we'll get a bit deeper into this a bit later in the show, but I like the fact it got nasty. There was a bit of a needle between the two. Forget all that respect. Pep used to, Arteta, former protege, all that stuff. Forget it. It got proper nasty between them. Really put some spice into the title race. I loved it.
He loved it. He said,
Jeff, stay humble, huh? Stay
humble. Exactly. Even when the final whistle had gone, it carried on. Marvellous stuff. You need that. You need that little extra edge in the competition. All that being nice, swapping shirts at halftime, shaking hands, and we respect them. Nah, doesn't do it for me.
No, give us the nasty. Jeff, are you cool to hang out for a little bit? We're going to catch up with you in just a few minutes. We're going to do some headlines, but then we'll chat more on this with you. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Can't wait.